Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2022-2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence, India's G20 presidency, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today is commemorated as Pick a Pathologist Pal Day in UK. Pick a Pathologist Pal Day is observed on December 13th in the United Kingdom. A pathologist is a doctor of doctors, meaning that they are involved in teaching, investigating, diagnosing disease or medical conditions. Every doctor has to follow instructions and interpretation of the pathologist for effective treatment of the patient. Coroners are people who investigate and determine the manner of death. They rely on medical officers and the forensic pathologists to accurately determine the causes. Both pathologists and coroners have high pressure jobs which require sensitivity and expertise. While a pathologist is occupied with academic pursuits and critical decision making regarding treatments, the coroners are responsible for dispatching correct information regarding deaths. The study of pathology, the detailed examination of the body, including dissection and inquiry into specific illness, dates back to antiquity. Hippocrates was renowned for making diagnosis based on the study of the body in the West. Many of the breakthroughs in pathology came from the medieval era of Islam and in the field blossomed after the Renaissance in the West. Pathology deals with the process and tests which fall within the contemporary medical field of general pathology. This includes a number of related medical specialties that diagnose disease mostly through examining tissue, cell, and body fluids. A pathology may also refer to the predicted or actual progression of particular diseases, such as cancer or multiple sclerosis. Thus, laboratories where blood samples are analyzed are known as pathologists too. It's a broader field than one thinks when watching crime series. In India, it dates back to ancient age, where more than 5,000 years old ancient medicine ever known to humankind. Shushruta and various other pioneers, exponents in medicine have been rendering their services through Ayurveda, including surgery, pathology, microbiology, and all so on. So pathology as a medical specialty was not fully developed until the 19th century and early 20th century. In the modern medicine, when technology enabled life to be studied in microbiology, In the 19th century, physicians had begun to understand that germs, disease causing microbes such as bacteria, virus, fungi, amoeba, molds, protists, and prions existed. This replaced earlier beliefs in humans or even spiritual agents that dominated the previous 1500 years in European medicine. So, Pick a Pathologist Day was created by Thomas and Ruth, the owners of Wellcat. It is unclear when the first one was created, although it looks like as recent as 2017. Their contention, befriending a pathologist or a coroner, can be a reminder that life comes with no guarantee and to live every moment to the fullest. So the first recorded post the first recorded postmortem dissections are done by the Arabian physician Ibn Zo in the West in 1st century AD. Rodolphe Virchow, the father of modern pathology and the Pope of medicine, was born in 1821. The first edition of the journal, Modern Pathology, is published. Research articles gained traction in 1893. The ABO blood group system is discovered, which revolutionizes modern treatment in 1901. In 2019, artificial intelligence is developed to aid breakthroughs in the pathology field in 2019. So a pathologist is a medical doctor with additional training in laboratory techniques used to study disease. Pathologists may work in a lab alongside scientists with special medical training. Pathologists study tissues and other materials taken from the body. To be a pathologist, you must first train as a doctor, followed by at least 5 years training in an accredited pathology laboratory and the completion of a number of examinations. And a pathologist is a specialist. Clinical pathology includes the fields of hematology, blood disease, chemical pathology, investigation of bodily fluids such as blood, urine, and cerebrospinal fluid, microbiology, study of microorganisms, and serology, study of blood serum. So express your thanks and extend a hand of friendship with pathologists and coroners on this occasion. Host a pathology party and watch exciting crime dramas to see what kind of things pathologists do. It may be fun to compare older movies with newer series to see the progress made in the field. So coming to some facts about body, we all are spit machines. We produce about 4 gallons of saliva a day. We breathe an impressive amount of air. We take 12 to 16 breaths a minute, which is around 2 gallons of air. Around 80% of what we think is taste is actually smell. Flavor combines taste and smell. Humans shed about 6 lakh particles of skin every hour. All organisms shed. 6 lakhs particles of skin every hour. How much we shed every hour? The small intestine is roughly 23 feet long, so the name has to do with the girth and not the length. The small intestine isn't small at all. So, Pick a Pathologist Pal Day reminds us of many fascinating aspects of microbiology. It's a good day to do some light investigation into the field. Maybe share your insights on social media to create awareness of how many facets of life pathologists deal with. Pathologists often work in sterile laboratories, so it may be a good idea to go to the lab closest to you and give them a box of cookies or donuts. This would show them some appreciation for the time driven, rather stressful work. PK Pathologist Day is a reminder that we don't know how long we are here. It focuses on the fact that we should live our lives meaningfully, thoughtfully, and with joy. Today is also commemorated as National Horse Day in US. On December 13th, it's a day to remember the economic, historic, and cultural contributions that horses have made. Equine enthusiasts across the country will get together on December 13th to show their appreciation for these majestic creatures, whether you are a seasoned rider or have never been on a horse in your life. Check out some ways you can recognize this day, appreciate horses. In 2004, Congress designated December 13th as National Horse Day, and since then, Americans have been taking the day to celebrate and appreciate the role of horse in not only helping our country become what it is today, but also its current role in modern era. Horses in general contribute roughly $9.2 billion to the US economy, whether they are helping plow fields, move food and supplies into rural areas, move livestock in ranches, or just provide speech, thoughtful equine therapy. Horses have woven themselves into the fabric of life in America. After the primitive Native American horses died out between 13,000 and 11,000 years ago, today wild horse species were reintroduced to America by European colonists in the late 1400s. They have since flourished in the Great Plains and Mountains West, where wild herds' thunderous hoofs are still heard to this day. Rodeos are still a vibrant and celebrated part of the culture of the American West, and in many rugged and rural areas, horses are still necessary for getting work done. While the history of Horse Day may be new to the millennium, horses themselves have always been intrinsic to the lives of many Americans. Equine specialists learned that horses see colors differently than humans. This information can be used to improve racecourse safety. New research done on horse eyesight in 2018. The horse Artisides and his rider, Oliver Lewis, won the first ever Derby. The Kentucky Derby began on May 17, 1875. They were well known for their speedy raids and horse-mounted archers. With the help of the horse, they were able to conquer much of the Asian continent. The Mongols went to war in 1200. The earliest evidence came from the shin bones and bit gear found in the Kazakhstan. By 3000 BC. Domesticated horses were widespread in 5000 BC. So $9.2 billion contribution is made by horses to the United States economy, and they don't even get paid. Conveniently and coincidentally, there's 9.2 million horses in the United States. That means each horse contributes roughly $1,000 to the American economy every year, and all they ask for are carrots and apples. Roughly 600 feral horses combined live on sparsely populated islands off the coast of Georgia and on North Carolina's Outer Bank Islands, left centuries ago by settlers. These horses have flourished in these desolate lands. By an act of Congress, National Horse Day is every year on December 13th. Whether you are an avid equestrian or horse novice, take a ride to celebrate National Horse Day or watch a horse movie, Sea Biscuit, Black Beauty, National Velvet, and that's just the beginning. You have whole list of movies to watch. Lots of organizations are dedicated to helping horses. Do some research and find out how you can help. Some wild horse facts. Mustangs are the wild horses that live mainly in the western US. It's not a car. Mustangs are descended from Iberian horses, which were brought by Spanish explorers to the Americans. So we can thank Spanish explorers. Though they aren't on the endangered species list, there are fewer than 25,000 wild horses in the US. So big horses, but small numbers. Mustangs have no natural predators. They are built for survival. Age is but a number. Some horses can live up to 40 years in the wild. Humans have bonded with horses for a long time, so it only makes sense that there is a whole day dedicated to them. Horses have been our companions for thousands of years. Horses play a big role in American culture. From cowboys to the Kentucky Derby, horses are ingrained in American history. Whether you are a horse person or not, you are surely witnessed America's love for horses at some point. Equestrians love the spirit of competition that comes with riding in horse shows. Farmers need horses to manage everyday tasks, and plenty of people in between enjoy going on for occasional horseback ride. Horses bring a sense of enjoyment and camaraderie into the lives of people across the world. Today is also commemorated as National Violin Day in US. Whether you adore countries picking on the fiddle or Stravinsky compositions in the concert hall, violins have a sound easily adaptable to a variety of musical genres. They haven't always looked the same since their heyday during the 16th century, but the violin has a recognizable tone and appearance. Some of the most valued instruments have sold for millions of dollars at auction. So, National Violin Day on December 13 recognizes the impact and cultural contributions of the most versatile instrument. Italian violin maker Andrea Amati built the earliest documented four-string violin in 1555. Louis XIII created a violin orchestra. His King's 24 Violins Orchestra became a royal sensation and raised the profile of the exciting instruments in 1626. British violinist set world record. Ben Lee is believed to be among the world's fastest violinists, having set the record for playing the composition Bumblebee in just over a minute in 2008. A Japanese fundraising auction brought in $15 million for Lady Blunt, an original 1721 Stradivarius in 2011. So, National Violin Day gives you absolute permission to indulge yourself with anything violin related. We suggest you make it a cinema night, kick off your violin-a-thon with every movie you can think of that revolves around violins. We are going to get you started with there. The Red Violin, The Devil's Violinist and Soloist, and so on. Listen to violin music as you can stand to pack your iPod with an endless supply of violin tracks, off from genre to genre, starting out with Paganini compositions and ending up with your favorite bluegrass songs and host a violin party. So it's your time to finally fulfill a lifelong fantasy. You want to play violin? So sign up for lessons. But while you are learning, be a good neighbor and pass out earplugs to the folks upstairs and across the hall. They will love you for it. Fictional detective Sherlock Holmes played the violin as a way to fight stress. They can help you relax. There's evidence that Turks and Mongolian horsemen from Inner Asia were world's earliest fiddlers playing a double string upright instrument and made a horsehair bow and strings, which also featured a horse head at the neck. If you are trying to lose weight, you can burn 170 calories per hour playing violin. They are good exercise. Early compositions were not specifically written for violins. Prior to 1600s, violins were used to accompany choruses. It wasn't until later that compositions highlighted their solo musical virtuosity. In the past, it was said that the strings were made of catgut, which makes people think of cats. But the word came from cattle gut because the strings were actually made from the cleaned intestines of cattle and or sheep, which were being harvested for food. No cattle or sheep were harmed for the sole purpose of making a violin. The burning question among aficionados on National Violin Day is whether or not violins and fiddles are the same. By and large, they are, with the sole difference being that a fiddle can have a fifth string, unlike most violins, which only can have four strings. Country music fiddlers further differentiate that a fifth string is plucked and not bowed. Both instruments are usually made from either maple or spruce woods that give the instrument a beautiful finish. And the hairs of the bow are made from the hair from a horse tail. No horses are harmed in making a violin or fiddle bow. They are not always considered high class instruments. Violins date as far back as the Persian Byzantine era of the 9th century. They didn't look like modern violins, of course, but they were string. There were also variations, including the Arabic rebec, the medieval fiddle, and other kinds of portable stringed instruments. Unfortunately, for the violin prior to the 16th century, musicians who played them were considered low class and not able to play music in prestigious courts or palatial homes. The impression may have changed when professional violinists in the Italian town of Brescia, a center of violin making, petitioned the government to consider their trade more highly so as not to be associated with bassviol and crude music of more common musicians. The Europeans prized violins. One way of expressing their stature was to include them in paintings in churches and palaces. During the Baroque artist period, violins started popping up everywhere in paintings. After all, how could you have a decent celestial choir without violins? It's why you can see early European portraiture depicting cherubs and gods playfully holding or caressing violins. Today is also commemorated as National Ice Cream Day in US. There are hundreds of flavors of ice cream beyond just chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. If you are feeling zesty, find a parlor that offers lemon meringue or even horseradish ice cream or even before the commercial success of ice cream in America in the 1800s. Ice cream was typically reserved as a special summertime treat, but now, thanks to simple and cheap at home devices, you can make whatever flavor you want. All you need is milk, cream, sugar, and flavorings of your choice. It may take longer than a quick trip to grocery store, but it's a fun way to enjoy this cold confection. Serving ice cream is a tried true way to bring community together. This may be at the ice cream parlor in a local assisted living center, or perhaps at a free ice cream giveaway to the park at the park funded by donations. However you do it, the community will be brought together closer by this long time summer food favorite. It makes us happy, as said by some of the neuroscientists over the University of Sussex in England. In one study, the scientists found that vanilla ice cream activates a part of the brain called the orbitofrontal cortex. In simpler terms, when we eat ice cream, the pleasure center of the brain lights up. This is a great news. Thanks, science. So it's social. And ice cream parlors, the place to be, whether we are scrambling down the street chasing the ice cream truck or meeting up with friends at the local dairy. Ice cream is more than just a cool treat, it's a social outing. There are endless varieties. Almost as soon as ice cream was sold in America, people started adding new flavors and experimenting with the creation process. Now, more than 200 years later, it's hard to imagine a flavor of ice cream that's yet to be invented. Today is also commemorated as National Cream Cheese Frosting Day in the US. The purpose of this commemoration or celebration is to recognize how much people all across the world enjoy dairy products. This was established by Arla, a leader in clean label cream cheese, the key ingredient in the nation's most beloved seasonal dessert topping. Cream cheese frosting is much more in demand in holidays. A simple cake of pastry can become a wonderful delicacy thanks to the frosting, a delectable spread. American cream cheese was created in 1870s by a dairyman from New York City named William Lawrence. It is thought to have been created accidentally. Lawrence attempted to make a French cheese known as Novchal, but the product he produced had a softer texture since it had more moisture and less fat. This product became known as cream cheese, which was loved by many. So eventually, cream cheese rose to the status of somewhat pricey treat. In the New York City, it was often served in specialized eateries. Foil wrappers were first used by Lawrence to sell the cheese. He also created the Philadelphia name brand. Lawrence Company and the Philadelphia trademark were acquired by the Phoenix Cheese Company in 1903, and the Kraft Cheese Company acquired the brand in 1928. Pasteurized cheese was created in 1912 by James L. Kraft, who invented Philadelphia brand cream cheese. Philadelphia cream cheese is still being produced by Kraft Foods today. Consumers of all races appreciated the brand and it gained popularity globally. By the 1960s, cream cheese had become more widely available in supermarkets, and cheesecake in America is now generally associated with a product that contains a cream cheese base. And today is also commemorated as National Cocoa Day in US. Hot cocoa is typically made with cocoa powder, heated milk or water, and sugar. However, some also call it hot chocolate, which causes a bit of confusion. Hot chocolate is made by using ground chocolate containing cocoa butter. We can also make chocolate. After this, cocoa butter is removed and we are left only with cocoa powder. After drying, roasting, and grinding cocoa beans. This cocoa powder is used to make hot cocoa. It is a relatively healthy drink with a very little fat and calories depending on what you add to it. But anything taken in excess is a poison. So have to take in a limited quantity, even if it is chocolate. So the first origins of cocoa can be traced back to 5,000 years. Archaeologists believe that this is the only as early as we can trace it. Of course, the chocolate back then was much different from that which we consume now, as sugar was still scarce. The beverage was flavored with vanilla, chili, and served throughout the year. It was reportedly more popular during the Olmec period, where it was used for spiritual praying. It was once used as a trade currency in pre-Columbian Mesoamerica. It was first found by European explorers in South America, where it was already enjoyed for hundreds of years before the arrival of Europeans. Not only that, but it was Spaniards who first found the flavor unpleasant and declared it bitter. In fact, chocolate became an acquired taste. It would not be until it was introduced to Europe and adopted as a luxury drink of the wealthy that it would be sweetened. This led to invention of milk chocolate, and it wouldn't be until 1828 that powdered chocolate would be available for consumption. Soon after this, the chocolate bar and instant hot cocoa came into existence. The three prominent varieties of cocoa plants are Forastero, Trinitario, and Criollo. Forastero is commonly used variant that contributes up to 90% of the world cocoa's production. Trinitario originated from Trinidad and is a hybrid variety of cocoa. Criollo is prone to diseases and less common. It is mostly cultivated mainly by Venezuela. Trinitario is the foremost in quality and when compared to other two varieties. It produces higher yields due to its disease-resistant nature. Cocoa contains antioxidants that may help prevent cancer. Cocoa beans help with digestion. And the flavonoids in cocoa also has a positive effect on keeping our veins healthy. Chocolate contains over 600 flavor compounds which give it a distinct aroma. There are 4 different types of chocolates: dark, milk, white, and blonde chocolates. White chocolate contains cocoa butter but doesn't contain any cocoa powder or cocoa solids. White chocolate isn't technically chocolate because of this. The chocolate industry is worth over $75 billion per year globally. Dark chocolate contains 12 milligrams of caffeine per ounce, and milk chocolate contains 9 milligrams, which is higher than espresso caffeine count. So, higher caffeine content in chocolate or cocoa. That's why consumed in limited quantity. Today is also commemorated as Malta Republic Day in Malta, celebrated on 13th December every year. It is a public holiday for general population and schools, and most business are closed. Malta is an archipelago in the central Mediterranean between Sicily and the North African coast. The country is known for its historic sites related to a succession of rulers, including Romans, Moors, Knights of St. John, French, and British. Maltese tourist attractions include numerous fortresses, megalithic temples, and Halseflen Hypogeum. It's a tiny nation with over 5 lakh people. Malta gained independence from British in 1964, but its initial constitution still recognized Queen Elizabeth II as head of the state of Malta. 10 years later, in 1974, Malta became a republic but continued to be a member of British Commonwealth of Nations. The 1964 constitution had to be revised, and on December 13, 1974, Malta became a republic with the approval of the new constitution and an elected president as the head of the state. Sir Anthony Mamo became the first president of the Republic of Malta, succeeding in his position as Malta's governor. On Republic Day, the President of Malta, on behalf of government and the people of Malta, honors Maltese citizens who have made outstanding contributions to their field. Today is also commemorated as US National Guard birthday. In US, though it's not a federal holiday, the birthday of US National Guard celebrated on December 13th is an important event. To note, established in 1636, the National Guard is the oldest military organization in America. Its members serve during times of war and emergency. National Guard militias were used beginning in 1636 to protect British colonies, making the Guard older than US Army, which wasn't created until the Revolutionary War. There's only one US territory without a National Guard unit, that would be American Samoa. During the Revolutionary War, National Guard units were called Minutemen because of how quickly they responded. It's America's largest militia force. The US Army is number one. The National Guard has fought in every US war since 1936 and plays a crucial role in security. So with this, we conclude the commemorations of the day. Thank you everyone for joining us on this wonderful day. We request you to fill and submit the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of polls, so that you can receive your certificate. All the certificates will be issued at the end of the series. So keep attending daily. See you all tomorrow. at the same time with the same link. It's 6 o'clock with different commemorations. Take care. Good night.